Hi everyone, I am so just overjoyed to be able to be making a video again and sharing sacred space with you all. I am deeply blessed in my life to have a very beautiful, thriving in-person practice, healing practice in the local area where I live. And I'm also really blessed to be able to spend my days working at a wonderful, intentional boutique right in the Lakes region called Made on Earth. Many of you know that I work there. We sell Oracle and Tarot decks, and so I get to actually talk to some of you, a lot of you, some of you, if you choose to order decks through us. And so I am really, really blessed to be able to spend my days doing things that I really, really love to do. As well as having a wonderful toddler and a husband and a beautiful family life too. So I found this summer that there just wasn't time in my schedule for me to be present in actually making a lot of videos. So I'm just so excited now. Summer's kind of winding down in the Lakes region. We're a seasonal area, and so things get very quiet after summer. So I have a little more time now in my schedule to make videos. And I'm just really, really excited about being able to do that. And thank you all for your patience with me as well. It's just wonderful to know that there's going to be some more really fun, juicy stuff coming up in videos from me for autumn for sure with you all. So that being said, many of you know this is my favorite time of year. And I start autumn as early as I can. So this is definitely my favorite time of year. I feel the most aligned to the seasons around this time of year. And there's something about autumn, about fall, that's deeply magical. And I feel that connection, and I actually feel very energized in a really grounded way. In a way that I don't always feel the rest of the year. There's just something really special about this time of year. And so I am excited to share with you all the decks that I connect with the most closely for autumn and fall, and especially for this year, what I'm going to want to be kind of pulling in energetically through the cards. And so whether you're in the season of autumn or not, if you happen to be across the world and this is summer for you, almost summer, spring, whatever, if you're feeling a need for withdrawal and stepping into the Hermit's energy, then these can be decks that are very helpful for you. This is the video that I get most highly requested from all of you, which is doing kind of like what decks I'm currently using and sharing that with you guys. So, and the autumn video for this most highly requested type of video is my favorite to do, and to kind of look back on and see like what decks have shown up over the years, because sometimes you don't realize, but there are absolutely very, similar decks or the same decks that show up again and again and again at certain times of the year. So I am very excited to share that with you. That being said, I have a ton of decks today, guys. Like, I have a lot of decks that I'm excited to work with, that I haven't worked with in a long time, that I'm wanting to bring in. And so I have some honorable mentions that I'll start with, and then I'll kind of get into the heart of the matter as far as my favorite decks to work with as we're stepping into autumn. Mabon and Samhain are my absolute favorite Sabbats. Again, I feel the most connected to these Sabbats, and I feel very magical and very much in a space of power through the release that these Sabbats are encouraging us to step into. So that being said, let me get started. So, honorable mention. I've got some interesting decks here, guys. Honorable mention, I'm going to start with the Starchild Tarot. I am really, really enjoying this deck, guys. And I know that the creator, she's redoing this deck. She's going to have a new printing of this and has some changes made. She's also doing a Moonchild Tarot. And so this deck I'm very excited to continue working with. I really enjoyed working with this deck in late summer. And I will be posting a review for you guys on this too, but this is a deck that, while at first I feel more like it carries a lot of spring energy for me, it actually lends itself well to journeying within and to what fall and autumn represent for many of us. So the Starchild Tarot is absolutely one that I'm going to be enjoying bringing into the season of autumn. So next I have my Waterhouse Oracle. which you can get on Etsy. I worked with this deck a lot in the spring, I believe it was, whenever I first got this deck. And I was really enjoying kind of creating my own guidebook for this deck and really creating a deck that was very tailor-made to me. But as summer approached and as I stepped into summer, I was losing the time and the space to devote to that, and so I'm looking forward to stepping back into that with this Oracle deck. As of yet, I have not read for anyone else with this deck, and I'm actually really glad I haven't. It's kind of a personal, beautiful treasure of my own that I'm getting to create my own deck with in a lot of ways. So this one I'm looking forward to working with again in autumn at a deeper level. My next honorable mention goes to a deck that I can't even believe it's on this list. I've tried to gift this deck so many times and it just doesn't leave, but I just don't really work with it. And it's the Morgan Greer Tarot. But when I was kind of walking around pulling decks for this video this morning while Vincent was playing, I just kept hearing the name of this deck, and here I am. It's on the list. I will be working with this deck this autumn. Those of you who love this deck, and I know if you love this deck, you love this deck. I am not in any way besmirching the name of the Morgan Greer Tarot. It's just one that, while I can read with it very easily, it doesn't pull me in the same way that other decks do. And the colors are very saturated, which is really nice. But at the same time, it just kind of can at times be, in some ways, especially the more yellow images, like an assault to my eyes. And just a bit too much. So, yeah. I know. I'm going to be working with the Morgan Greer Tarot this autumn. And really, I think this is the perfect image to end our little time with this deck with. Yeah, so Morgan Greer Tarot is on my list of decks that I will be bringing into my practice this autumn. Honorable mention also goes to the Chrysalis Tarot. This is a deck that, first of all, I think the colors are perfect for this time of year. I bought it. I love it. It's beautiful. It's gorgeous. I really haven't been called to work with it. There have been some other decks that have been, oh, sorry guys, hold on. That it's been really more, it's felt more important for me to be working with. And so I haven't devoted any real, true, focused attention with this deck. So I am looking forward to kind of doing some more meaningful workings with this deck, and especially magical workings, because I think that this deck lends itself well to ritual. So I'm looking forward to exploring the Chrysalis Tarot more this autumn, and it's definitely on my list. It's not at the top of my list, but it is one that I think it's going to be important for me to connect with this autumn. Let's see, what else? The Thoth Tarot, carrying over from summer, just like the Star Child Tarot, is also one that I'm going to be working with more deeply, more intentionally through autumn. And I am really looking forward to that. Just deepening my connection and my working with this deck. This is a deck that I think you should approach with a lot of respect, and that is very, very, very esoteric. And for me, it's just so yummy to explore the esoteric and occult side of tarot. And so I'm looking forward to just continuing to sink my teeth into this delicious deck. Also, honorable mention, carrying over from summer, is the Hermetic Tarot, which, just like the Thoth Tarot, is one that is very esoteric, and I am looking forward to studying, doing lots of journal work with. Yeah, this is one that I'm really, really looking forward to connecting with even more deeply as the months go by. And I think both the Thoth and the Hermetic Tarot will lend themselves very well to intentional ritual right now too. So these two decks I'm excited to deepen the practice with through Mabon and also Samhain. Okay, so last on my list for honorable mention is the Book of Shadows Tarot As Above. If you identify as pagan or as a witch, I think that this is a deck that you should have in your collection if you can at all, and if you feel drawn to working with it. It's a very, very elementally delicious, just yummy tarot that's, first of all, beautifully illustrated, but also really, really, especially if you're just stepping into working with Sabbats, working with the elements, this is a deck that will help you connect with that in a really, really just wonderful way. So the Book of Shadows Tarot As Above, I love so much. And I'm looking forward to reconnecting with it through the Sabbats of Mabon and Samhain as well. So this is a really, really beautiful deck and is honorable mention on the list, the Book of Shadows Tarot As Above. So now let's get into my giant list of decks that I'm going to be working with on a nearly daily basis. You know, in one way or another, every one of these decks will be used throughout the next few months. And these are decks that I feel like they just really assist me in doing deeper, darker, yummier, intentional work. So, let's see, where do I want to start? I'll start here, I think. Okay. The Night Sun Tarot is one of those decks that if you've watched my review, you know I kind of purchased it on a whim and I wasn't expecting to connect with it. And I actually really, really love this deck, guys, and I keep loving it more and more. It's really, really, really very focused, and it kind of really just cuts away the excess and gets straight to the heart of the matter. And I love this deck for shadow work, but not just for shadow work, for any type of work where you're really, really wanting to, again, go to the heart of the matter. This is a deck, which I'll just stay with this card image for then. This is a deck that allows you to do that in a very visceral, clear way. And while the type of artwork is not my favorite, it does not stop me from having a really powerful connection to the deck. And the colors themselves also lend themselves well to darker times. You know, the days are shorter here. And there is this awareness of shifting and change and stepping into that. And so this deck really does help you to flow with that, I think, in a very powerful way. So the Night Sun Tarot is one that I will be using this autumn with a lot of joy. The Mother Mary Oracle, I didn't really work with a great deal this summer, and I am working with her again. In fact, she's on my personal altar right next to my bed right now. And there is a lot of soul work that the Mother Mary Oracle by Alana Fairchild, just so because there's a few Mother Mary Oracles, that I think she lends herself well to with this time of the year. It's very much a soul searching and a going within, and how much can I let go of, and what can I release, and how can I be more authentic? What needs to be trimmed away? What do I need to cultivate? What do I need to look at within myself? What's really going on? How do I really feel right now? And so this deck is very helpful for that. And it's also been really, really healing for me with my association with deity from the Christian perspective. So this deck has been very important for me, and I am going to be working with it quite a bit in the season of autumn. And I'll I'll be using this deck for one of my deck challenges as well, for one of my weeks in my deck challenges, because this is a really good one to connect with in that way. The Louis Royo Dark Tarot is another one that works nudity. If you're under 18, please do not watch this. It's a very, very sexual, powerful, magical deck that lends itself perfectly to autumn, to the idea of release, and that release can be ecstatic, and it can be as divine as cultivation, as bringing in, as creating. So the Dark Tarot is one that I will absolutely be using quite a bit this autumn and that I'm excited to work with. Kind of like coming out of the closet about how much I love this deck. Just through watching other people's videos too, and knowing that I'm not the only person that that this deck is just insanely amazing. That's how I feel about this deck. And so lots of people are connecting to the deck around me too, and it's been fun to kind of share that journey together. The Journey of the Hidden Realms Tarot. Oh, if I say that wrong, I will correct myself in the description bar. This deck is one that I always use in autumn. It's just so beautiful. It's just so inner realm focused, and this connection with ether, this connection with other energies and other entities is so beautifully encouraged in this deck, and there's such a connection with that and an honoring of that, that it assists you as the veil is thinning to allow yourself to experience these things instead of blocking them. And so I think this is Journey of the Hidden Realms, the title of this one. I really think of it as the Hidden Realms Tarot. And this is one that I work with always around this time of year since this deck came out. And just, I love this deck so much. I hope that the artist and the creators of this deck, that they make another deck in the future too, because it's just stunning. It's just a stunning, beautiful, just gorgeous deck. And it's a wonderful one to have on the altar and to bring into sacred space for yourself. Okay, so I've really released a lot of my resistance to the Le Vampire Oracle. I was really disappointed in this deck when it first came out. I think a lot of you could tell that I was. I felt like we phoned it in a little bit. But I've found over the, I don't know, what's it been, 2 years maybe? A year, 2 years since this deck was released. I'm really coming to a good place with this deck, especially for this year, as far as this time of year when I'm automatically kind of feeling that energy, that kind of vampiric energy. So I am looking forward to reconnecting with this deck more deeply. And it's been on my altar since last month, my kitchen altar, which I use quite a bit. It's kind of like my working altar. And I'm really healing like a lot of the I was feeling about this deck. The images themselves are really what matters, and that's what it's about connecting with. It's just that when, you have an expectation of a guidebook and it gets a little dashed, it can be quite sad. But this is a beautiful deck. The guidebook is fine. It's not a bad guidebook. It's just Lucy usually gives us like insane guidebooks. And I felt like we kind of lost some of that with this deck. But I'm really connecting with the images and allowing the guidebook, like allowing myself to just not get sucked into disappointment with the guidebook, and instead be looking for what's enjoyable with the guidebook and what's helpful with the guidebook. So this is the Le Vampire Oracle. Jasmine Beckett Griffith did the artwork. Also, I hate this backing, but that's okay. So I'm really healing my relationship with this deck, believe it or not, and I'm very much enjoying working with it this autumn. And I have a feeling I'll be kind of working with it more and more and feeling a lot of joy working with the deck too. Okay, so Colette Baron Reid has a new deck coming out. If any of you have seen Avalon's video on the reveal, I'm now really excited to own the deck. When I first started working with Oracle decks, Colette Baron Reid's decks were one of my favorite authors to work with as far as decks went. Her decks are super easy to read with, like things are very clear, it's very gentle, it's very loving, especially when you start reading for other people. They're great decks to work with. I haven't actually used her decks though in a long, long time. I've kind of gotten into more maybe meteor's not the right word, because they are doing the same work as a different deck. It's just, it doesn't feel as intense. as other decks that I've now chosen to spend a lot of time with, like the Isis Oracle, like the Mother Mary Oracle. Those decks are kind of, they pull you in and they require work and they require attention. And then there's this beautiful symphony, this beautiful dance that ends up happening with the deck. This deck just kind of connects with you right away, gives very clear answers. Wonderful deck. Not this deck, but her decks for the most part. And they're beautiful, and yet they don't require the attention and the work that other oracle decks do. However, I have been, since probably July, working with the Wisdom of Avalon Oracle, and like I didn't want to work with this deck. I tried to avoid it, but it kept popping up. It kept showing up, images from the deck, and the deck would just like kind of be there in the room in a way that I hadn't felt its energy in a very, very long time. And I've also been, I connect with the energy of Avalon intensely, with the mythology of that, and then I have to take a step back from it for a time. It can be quite overwhelming for me. Just the depth of that awareness can feel overwhelming for me at times. So this deck is a wonderful way for me to step back into that energy and not be so afraid of the all-encompassing energy that Avalon can hold for me. So yeah, so this is a deck that I am really enjoying bringing back into my practice. Haven't really been reading for others with this deck. Like, this is really just a solitary deck for me right now. It's one that I'm reading for myself with alone. But beautifully illustrated. A lot of people said that they don't understand these, the Sacred Journey markers. And there's a lot of bad reviews about this deck for these. I love these. I love the Sacred Journey markers. I think they're great. I think they provide a lot of clarity to the other cards. It's a unique deck from Colette Baron-Reid. She hasn't done a deck like this since its creation. The artwork is different. The energy of the deck is different. It's a beautiful deck. So I do encourage people to work with this deck. And especially if you're new to working with cards, her decks are insane. They're great. They're wonderful. They help you to feel that, like, the joy and the ecstasy of reading the cards and the clarity that they can bring you. But they're also very gentle, very loving, very friendly. They're not scary at all. So, let's see. Oh, what should we do next? Okay. The Ludi Lesket Tarot is one of my favorite decks to work with in autumn. I love this deck. It's so New Orleans, like it's so Victorian, Gothic New Orleans. Oh, I love this deck. I love this deck so much. So the Ludi Lesket Tarot is one that I love to work with this time of year. I love to read for others with this deck too, but especially for myself. Let's see. So the Ludi Lesket is one that I'll be doing a lot of spreads with and probably will be using for my deck challenge as well for a week. Just connecting with it in a new way. Because you know when you have a deck you love, you've worked with a lot, and you can feel that there's like another level coming. I can feel that with this deck. So that's the Ludi Lesket Tarot. The Steampunk Tarot by Barbara Moore and Ali Fell. I love this deck. It's one of my favorites to work with this time of year. I love the artwork, the feel, the colors. It's just all very delicious. And calls to mind autumn, calls to mind mystery, mystical, delicious yumminess. Makes me excited about tarot to work with this deck too, because it is very much Rider-Waite-Smith symbolism, but you've got kind of a different feel to it, and so you can go to a different place with this deck too. Oh, there's that. So that's the Steampunk Tarot. It's the Barbara Moore Ali Fell version. Who's going to go next? Okay, Sacred Rebels Oracle. Going to be working with this one a lot this fall. I think it's a really, really important deck for all of us to work with. I can't say enough about this deck, about how much I love this deck, how powerful and passionate and awakening this deck is, what it helps us to release, what it helps us to step into, what it calls us to look at in our life. It really encourages us to live authentically and unapologetically and creatively. So this deck is like the best, one of my, like anytime I say, are you looking to follow your bliss, and someone tells me that's what they're looking for, this is the deck I'm going to encourage them to work with. No holds barred, no avoiding anything. This deck is going to take you there, and you're going to look at some things, and you're going to become aware of things, and things are going to make sense. Things will get released. This is an amazing deck. This is a deck, this is on my all-time top 5. I love this deck. So, Sacred Rebels Oracle. The Halloween Oracle by Stacey DeMarco. I am also going to be working with this autumn. And I've done a review where I've talked a lot about my things I like, things I don't like about this deck. So you can check that out if you want to. But if you're a witch, you kind of can't help but work with this deck this time of year. I mean, it just... right? I mean, it's a way to pull the symbolism traditionally as well as esoterically to this time of year in a really cool way. It's also great to give readings for people with, too. So this is the Halloween Oracle by Stacey DeMarco. I'll send on that image. Beautiful, fun, tongue-in-cheek deck. So that one's going to be fun to work with too. And I might pull that into my monthly deck challenge too, just kind of encouraging myself to work with it at a deeper level instead of just a surface level, if that makes sense. Okay, we're almost there, guys. You've been so patient with me. The Fallen Angels Oracle. I talk about this deck a lot. I don't think it gets a lot of attention, and I think it is like an amazing deck. It's intense. It's super intense. It's scary. It freaks you out. It's insanely accurate. We're talking about demons when we work with this deck. We're talking about working with our shadow side. We're talking about incorporating all parts into the whole. Embracing the masculine and the feminine within. Embracing the elements. This deck is going to take you there. And in my experience, this deck loves, whenever I'm doing like large readings, this deck will show up and it wants to play. And it plays. So the Fallen Angels Oracle, I use this deck a lot. I took like a 2-month break from it this summer, which was really, really good for me. Just to like get some space. And now I'm like, oh, so excited to work with this deck again. You know, when you get that feeling and you're like, yes, oh my God, we're going to work together. It's going to be great. I can't wait to meditate with you and do spreads. And so, and my intention and my focus with this deck is going to be more on a personal, solitary level than it has been, because so much of this year I've spent reading with others with this deck. I'm looking forward to like bringing it back into, okay, what is our relationship together, kind of as a couple. So this is the Fallen Angels Oracle by Nigel Suckling, I believe. Okay, so you guys know who's going to be in my top 4, but they're in my top 4. So I can't like the top two. The top 2 I'm going to talk about you might not guess, but these 2 you're going to know. But they're always going to be in my lists, guys. So that's just the way it is. The Tarot of the Vampires by Ian Daniels, which everyone, guys, some of you keep telling me he's making another deck. Has anyone heard anything about that? Oh, I would love another deck. This is my base. This is my home deck. This is the deck I read the best with. It's the deck I connect the best with. It's like a passionate affair every time I work with this deck. And this is the time of year when this deck really comes alive. And so I can't not have it on my autumn list. Like I was thinking like maybe I should just leave them off. I can't do it. I can't do it. This deck is the best. It's the best. So this is the Tarot of Vampires by Ian Daniels. It is not a deck for everyone. Like the Dark Tarot by Louis Royo, you have to really, that type of artwork has to really like move you and excite you and take you to a different place. You have to feel that type of energy for this deck to be for you. But if you feel that way looking at even just the images you've just seen, then this is a deck for you to work with. yes, it can be scary. It is truthful, but that's life. That's life. Dark and the light, we're here to experience the contrasts. And so these, the Dark Tarot, Tarot of Vampires, these are decks that are really speaking to us in full color and in really encouraging us to look at those things that are kind of uncomfortable. And as we step into that, those decks just come alive in really, really powerful ways. So yeah, Tarot of Vampires I will be working with every day this autumn, as I work with it every day, all year, every year. The Isis Oracle. Female empowerment, no matter what gender you identify with, or if you don't primarily identify with a gender, the Isis Oracle is really going to encourage you to heal your experience with the sacred feminine and to step into the empowerment that the sacred feminine offers you. This, just like the Tarot of Vampires, is my home-based oracle deck. This is a deck that goes with me everywhere. It travels with me. If you told me I could only use 2 decks for the rest of my life, it would be the Tarot of Vampires and the Isis Oracle, and I would do so gladly with great joy. Just everything about this deck calls to me. Isis is one of my primary deity that I work with. Primary deities, I should say. And I feel that Alana and Jimmy captured her essence in this deck in a way I've rarely seen anyone else do. So the Isis Oracle. Okay, the top 2 decks this year. But it's been really interesting. I wasn't expecting these 2 decks to come up. I love these decks. They're among the first 2 decks I've ever owned. I've done reviews on both of them, so if you're interested in looking at those, you can find them on the channel. These 2 decks most accurately display my experience of Fae energy, and so for me, it's kind of perfect they're coming back into my life right now. I'm feeling drawn to that connection really deeply, especially this time of year, and where I am right now as Racine on her path. So, the Heart of Fairies Oracle by Brian Froud and Wendy Froud. Really just primarily they're talking about relationships, but it really, you don't have to take everything as meaning regarding your relationship. They're really talking about your relationship with yourself and your experience of life due to what you believe about yourself. And they're telling this story through very powerful Fae archetypes. And it's just beautiful. It's just so... I love, love, love this deck. And I haven't worked with this deck in a long time. Wasn't expecting her to come up and show up. She was actually put away in a box for protection. And she just kind of called to me one night, and I pulled her out, and she went right on the altar because I knew it was time to work together again. So for autumn, I'm going to be working with this deck quite a bit in conjunction with the Tarot of Vampires. They actually work well together, those 2 decks. And the number 1 is the Fairies Oracle by Brian Froud and Jessica Macbeth. This deck has, just like Tarot of Vampires, has one of the best guidebooks ever written. Especially if you want to work with Fae energy, especially if you want to walk into that realm of fairy and feel that connection. This deck and the guidebook are going to be what you want to use. If you've never worked with cards before, you can use this guidebook and understand how to work with a deck and how to start creating your own relationship with a deck. It's much deeper than just pulling some cards and reading from the guidebook. This guidebook is like the best. It's one of the best. Second only to Phantasmagoria by Ian Daniels, in my opinion. So there's a lot of energy in these cards. And you guys know that the Fairies Oracle and the Heart of Fairies Oracle play around with me the most out of any decks, which is why lately when I'm not working with them, I usually leave my decks out, you guys, as most of you know. But these 2 decks I have some boxes for, and I actually put them in that, and I put them away, and most of the time they don't disappear on me if I tend to do that these days. But yeah, these decks disappear on me. They do all kinds of crazy, funny, beautiful things. So yeah, so I I have a deep amount of love for the Fairies Oracle and the Heart of Fairies Oracle, and I haven't worked with them in a long time, and so I'm really excited. Like, I feel like with these decks, I'm kind of going into a new level with them this autumn, and so I'm excited to do that, to actually devote the time and attention to them and craft what the next step in our journey is going to be together. So, yeah, so I'm very, very excited to be working with these decks in such a powerful way. So this is my list for autumn 2015. It's pretty long, yes, but autumn is my like very intensive spiritual time. I just feel it. I feel it. I want to be just constantly connected. It's not about taking a break for me. It's about like really diving into stuff. So I have a lot of decks on here. Yeah, so let me know what decks you'll all be using. What decks are calling to you, what decks you're excited to work with. Let me know what you'd like to see for videos this autumn. I'm making a list right now. I know I've had a lot of requests about more videos on authenticity, and I will be doing those, so don't worry about that. But again, any questions or areas you guys want me to look at, please let me know. As always, I am sending you all so much love, so much appreciation for your patience with me this summer, but also just that we get to share this time with each other and connect in this way. It's such a gift. So I will see you soon in the next video. Have a wonderful day, evening, morning, wherever you are when you're watching this. And let me know what decks you're loving working with too. So blessed be everyone. Take care. Bye.